J.R.R. Tolkien constructed a mythology spanning thousands of years, populated by a vast hierarchy of gods, kings, and monsters. But the entire history of this universe pivots on the actions of one man. His name is Feanor. He surpassed every other elf in physical strength, linguistic craft, and forge work. His mother named him Spirit of Fire, a title that reflected the restless, consuming heat of his inner drive. Feanor was born into the noontide of Valinor. This was an immortal utopia, a static and peaceful paradise illuminated by the eternal silver and gold radiance of two massive living trees. But a static paradise offers no friction. Feanor possessed an obsessive intellect that demanded constant creation, and a fire of that magnitude requires fuel to burn. To satiate his drive to create, Feanor accomplished something that defied the laws of his world. He captured the living, mingled light of the two trees and encased it within three indestructible, diamond-like gems, the Silmarils. Forging these jewels required total isolation and agonizing labor. They represented the highest summit of craftsmanship in the history of Arda. But the masterpiece broke the master. Feanor's pride warped into a paranoid, jealous obsession. He began to lock the Silmarils away in a vault, refusing to let anyone, even the gods who created the original light, look upon them. Up until this moment, the light of Valinor was a shared, infinite resource. Feanor took that light and turned it into private property, introducing the corrosive concept of greed into a flawless paradise. Then the original Dark Lord, Melkor, struck. He invaded the utopia, assassinated Feanor's father, and poisoned the two trees, killing the source of the world's light. Melkor cracked open Feanor's vault, stole the three Silmarils, and fled to Middle-earth. Without the trees, the entire continent was instantly plunged into complete, suffocating darkness. Standing in the black ruins of his home, Feanor absorbed the murder of his father and the theft of his life's work. The only light left in his universe was the memory of his gems. His grief hardened into a blinding rage. He stood before his people and cursed the Dark Lord, renaming him Morgoth, the black foe of the world. Morgoth broke the world's light, but he also shattered the only restraint holding Feanor back. The realm's greatest creator had become its primary engine of chaos. Defying the Valar, the gods of this world, Feanor declared an open rebellion. Using his unmatched skill as an orator, he convinced the elven population to abandon their home and march on Middle-earth to wage war. In the great square of their city, Feanor and his 7 sons drew their swords. They swore a vow to the Creator himself, calling down eternal darkness upon their souls if they failed to reclaim the stones. This oath operated on an inescapable logic. It stripped away their free will, legally and supernaturally forcing the swearers to violently pursue anyone who withheld a Silmaril, be they friend, foe, or innocent bystander. The consequences were immediate. When a neighboring clan of elves refused to surrender their ships for the voyage, Feanor's host drew their weapons and slaughtered them on the docks. This was the first kinslaying. Paranoia took hold. Upon reaching Middle-earth, Feanor burned the stolen fleet at Loskar, intentionally stranding the hesitant half of his own people on a deadly expanse of Arctic ice. To reclaim his property, Feanor had torched the morality, the innocence, and the unity of the entire elven race. Feanor arrived in Middle-earth running on pure adrenaline and the fading light of the paradise he had just left. When Morgoth sent an army of orcs to meet him, Feanor annihilated them. Intoxicated by the victory, he sprinted far ahead of his own vanguard, charging alone toward the gates of the Dark Lord's fortress. His pride pulled him straight into an ambush. He was surrounded and beaten into the dart by Gothmog and his Balrogs, demonic spirits of fire that served a master far greater than any elf. As he lay bleeding in the ash, Feanor looked up at the horizon-consuming scale of Morgoth's stronghold. For the first time, the rage lifted, replaced by the crushing weight of reality. He realized the hard limit of his nature. that no matter his genius, he was merely an elf challenging a Vala, a god who helped sing the world into existence. His rebellion and the murder of his kin had been directed at an enemy his race was never meant to defeat. But even faced with the certain futility of his war, Feanor's pride refused to break. With his dying breath, he offered no repentance. Instead, he commanded his 7 sons to hold to their doomed oath and avenge him. His inner fire burned with such intensity that as he died, it literally ignited his physical body, reducing his corpse to a pile of ash that blew away on the wind. Unlike other elves who are eventually reborn, Feanor's spirit was pulled into the halls of the dead and locked away. He is uniquely forbidden from ever returning to the world of the living. Yet his decree survived him like a virus. Bound by the oath, his surviving sons were dragged through centuries of misery, eventually committing 2 more horrific massacres against their own kind just to chase the stolen gems. Feanor was a peerless genius whose hands crafted the greatest treasures his universe would ever see. But his total inability to let those creations go ensured his bloodline would burn their own world to ash, trying to hold on to them.